Well, this was an interesting one for sure. It felt like the episode that marked a real turning point for the narrative of the season. Butcher's double-crossing nature, Homelander's slow demise to insanity, A-Train compromising his brother, and Crimson Countess being crimsonized. It was an interesting episode for sure, so let's get into it and explain all that there is to take away from it. Here is The Boys Season 3 Episode 5 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. I'll break down this video into the different arcs that we got from each individual character and the contribution to the overall plot in Episode 5. The episode opened up following directly on from Kimiko being blasted by Sodier Boy's newfound power, and we saw that she was in a stable state, which was something that I feel not only Frenchie was glad for, but us as the audience was too. It was from here where we saw the different arcs then start to break away from each other, as the group flew back to America. Kimiko was sent to hospital where she was treated by a doctor. We saw her make a slow recovery and, like we all expected, the compound V was completely removed from her body. We saw this was the case due to the fact that her body was no longer healing in a timely manner, and also the fact that when Frenchie handed her a heavy object, she could no longer lift it. These were the two main things that came with her powers. We know Kimiko had been battling with the curse that she felt the powers gave her this season. We'd seen her express it to several different people, and with it appearing as though her powers have been completely removed, you could see the sheer level of excitement, relief, and happiness that she felt. It looked as though it was the first time in a long while where she was free. Kimiko had always been unable to speak, the time that we've known her at least anyway, and we saw her get a few words out of her mouth, which was due to the result of V not running through her veins anymore. The boys' musical scene followed shortly after, where I believe her love of musicals and singing, as we saw in Episode 1 and Episode 2 of the show, was used as a medium for us to see exactly how it was making her feel inside of her mind. It was a great tool for the show to use, and one that's not been used before, but it worked really well in garnering the excitement and happiness that she was feeling. We also saw Kimiko kiss Frenchie, which led him then to go off for a coffee to avoid the awkwardness, and it resulted in him not coming back due to the fact that little Nina and her henchmen took him away, as they wanted him to carry out a hit on two people and he didn't really want to do so. It left Kimiko on the bed looking like she felt as though she'd made a mistake in kissing him, so I'm sure we'll see how that pans out over the course of the next few episodes, especially with Frenchie now being absent. Whilst all of this was going on, we saw the rest of the boys essentially seek out Sodier Boy after finding out that he'd arrived in the US and wiped out a building and people. They went and met somebody called Legend, which I thought was a great name. Legend was essentially vice president at Vought, prior to Stillwell being in charge in Season 1 of the show. He looked like the type of person who was a Hollywood agent type of character, and cared more about the fame that the soups brought, rather than the good that they actually did for the people and protection. It was here where they found out that Sodier Boy was heading to find Crimson Countess, to seek revenge after there was a revelation that she was in on the deal of Sodier Boy being captured, tested on, and tortured for 40 years, and she wasn't even paid for it. It was all for nothing. The boys tied her up and used her as bait to strike up a deal with Sodier Boy. We didn't see the deal that was agreed, however it was clear to see that Sodier Boy was likely going to be used as the weapon to take down Homelander as part of this deal. I give you Crimson Countess, you give me Homelander. That kind of arrangement. And we very much saw Butcher carry up on his part of the deal, as the Crimson Countess came face to face with the Crimson Blast that Sodier Boy emitted, and she ended up melted. Needless to say, we'll go on to see an epic battle between Homelander and Sodier Boy, but I think it will be towards the finale. It's gonna be a close one for sure. We saw throughout the episode Mother's Milk's personal vendetta coming to fruition the more that the hunt for Sodier Boy was underway. He has a personal connection to him, due to the fact that it appeared as though Sodier Boy butchered his family when he was younger, hence his belief that nobody should be able to hold that level of powers that the soups do, as it makes them unstoppable. This is also a driving motivator as to why he feels betrayed by Butcher, because the very thing that they stand for is what Butcher is going against, despite him stating that he's leveling the playing field and making it even for the first time. We saw Butcher give Mother's Milk a drink that made him pass out, due to the fact that he wouldn't have agreed to what Butcher was doing in the deal with Sodier Boy. As Butcher stated, he has no line, so he's always going to be on the wrong side of what MM believes in. This action is only going to add fuel to the fire and make the relationship that they hold even more bitter, due to the backstabbing and double-crossing Butcher has been doing to Mother's Milk. Despite knowing how he feels about it all on a personal level, Hughie was an interesting one in this episode as well. Since taking V24, we've seen a new persona get embodied, a more confident version that allowed him to feel unstoppable, the very thing that the boys were fighting against. He took more V24 along with Butcher, following on from receiving some from Maeve, and we're seeing this internal battle for power within Hughie, and the want to protect Starlight even though she doesn't need it or is actively seeking it out from him. If anything, it's going to be something that makes the relationship far worse than what it already is, due to the fact that in the closing moments, Hughie decided to go with Butcher instead of staying with Starlight when she asked. Who is he protecting if he can't be there for her when she wants him to be? The V24 clearly has an addictive nature due to the fact that they all keep taking it, and Butcher even stated himself that it's better than anything he'd ever taken. So we're going to see it get worse and worse as they drift further and further from their true identities. I thought an interesting touch in this episode as well was of Hughie being able to open the jar in the kitchen. We've seen him not be able to open this jar in multiple episodes in Season 3, and now he was finally able to. Small but subtle detail. Homelander is a character that we're watching take a slow decline and drift into insanity and paranoia as each episode passes by. He can't take on average questions without thinking that somebody is trying to make a fool of him. He also had Black Noir kidnap Queen Maeve as he found out that she was conspiring with Butcher. He doesn't know the ins and outs, but he knows that something was going on. Following Stan Edgar being taken down at the top, Homelander had essentially appointed Ashley as CEO of Vought, but I believe that he's done this due to the fact that he knows he can essentially overrule any decision that she makes. We got a glimpse of her being fearful, but she's picked her side, and that's with Homelander. Another interesting arc that I'm enjoying watching is with A-Train. We've not seen him use his powers really this season, due to the heart condition and it proving to be fatal. However, with Blue Hawk showing his true self and backlashing on everybody at the community center, and framing it differently once he assaulted them, leaving A-Train's brother paralyzed, I think we're going to see A-Train seek revenge, which is one that I'm looking forward to seeing. I don't agree with him taking the side of Homelander, and I was surprised when it turned out that he actually did. I think he'll come to regret the decision, but we'll see that as the season goes on. This episode felt like it laid the foundations down for the direction of the latter half of the season, and I think the inevitable head-to-head between Sodier Boy and Homelander is on the cards. And with Homelander in a paranoid state, this could be the most dangerous, but also the most vulnerable we've ever seen him. So, there you have it. Season 6 Episode 5 Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos on the boys, such as episodes explained, soups explained, and theories and predictions, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find it all. If you want me to review something specific, then head over to my Twitter @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile where I rate all of the latest releases in real time. What did you think of episode 5? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.